Hello viewers, welcome to the 5th episode of the KCA Ask You Aviator. My name is Flora Wakolo Kitao, a Chief Air Traffic Control Officer within the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. In this episode, we are celebrating the girl child as the globe celebrates the International Day of the Girl under UNICEF umbrella. It's about 25 years since the Beijing Declaration was adopted by the United Nations. And to celebrate the International Girl Child, we have 3 magnificent ladies who will be telling us their life in aviation so that the young girl out there can be encouraged and come and join this particular arena as some of us exit. Welcome. We have our first guest.
Hello viewers, my name is Beth Mengech. I am an Aeronautical Information Officer based at Jkia.
Hello everyone, my name is Mary Kanuna Sindiga. I work at the East African School of Aviation, which is the training directorate of the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, as a Chief Course Development Unit and ICAO focal point. Thank you.
Hello viewers, my name is Beth Mwakio, a Senior Air Transport Officer based at Kenya Civil Aviation Authority headquarters.
Thank you, ladies. Now, Mary, can you take us through your normal day routine at the East African School of Aviation?
Thank you, Flora. Actually, it's interesting you should ask because my days are as different as each day. Sometimes I don't know how it will look like, but anyhow, on a typical day, working day for me at the East African School of Aviation, I usually get there shortly before 8 a.m. and I start by looking at my emails. And this is very important for me because as an ICAO focal point, emails are the main model of communication and timeliness is of essence. So after I go through the emails, then I have a short briefing with my team, the course development team, we call it at IASA, where we look at the day's work in terms of what we need to do today, what we did yesterday, and any adjustments that we need to make. Thereafter, I get engaged in meetings where I'm either a member of a committee or a chair of a committee. And shortly after that, I brief my supervisor, who is the director of the East African School of Aviation. After that, I spend most of the day working on the course design activities that are our core mandate as a course development unit. And in between, I'll probably make consultations with several other teaching departments whom we guide in terms of course design, course review, and any other activities that they may require from us. Then in the evening before I go home, I make sure I actually again go back to my emails because there will be a lot of traffic there based on what courses we are teaching or we are scheduling or we are planning to schedule, and again respond to whomever has made contact with us. And that more or less wraps my day before I go home. Thank you.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. No wonder the East African School of Aviation has been ranked highest in Africa. Beth, kindly take us through the normal day at Jkia Aeronautical Information Office.
At the Jkia briefing office, we work in shifts. So my day typically begins either at 6:30 a.m. or at 6:30 p.m. So when I get to work, the first thing I do is to go through the operations logbook to see everything that was recorded at the period when I was off duty. And then from there, I have a look at all the current NOTAM to update myself. From there, I take over watch. Basically, my job involves flight planning and pre- and post-flight briefing. So in flight planning, I accept flight plans from pilots or their representatives, either online or they bring the copy physically. Before I accept this flight plan, I have to check whether it conforms with the ICAO formats. I have to check for accuracy because whatever I sent out has to be very accurate. Yeah. And then I need to check also whether it complies with the national and international regulations. And then from there also, I transmit the flight plan. I transmit it to all the ATS units, all the search and rescue units, including those units along the route of the flight, the destination, and the alternates. And when I'm transmitting this information, I have to make sure that I maintain the integrity of the information. And then after that, I also do pre-flight and post-flight briefing of the crew. And I do this while we ensure that we maintain the requirements set up in the QMS, that's the quality management and the safety management system. Yeah, that's basically how my day goes.
Quality does it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mwakio, what is air transport all about? And if you can take us through a normal day for you in the office.
Thank you, Flora. Air transport is about the movement of passengers, cargo, and mail by aircraft from one point to the other. But in Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, air transport is a department which is mandated with economic regulation and facilitation oversight, which is Annex 9 of the ACAO annexes. In my daily duties or in my normal day in the office, I wouldn't very much be strict with exactly what I do because it's very dynamic and every new day is a working day. Every day is different from the other. But normally what we anticipate to do in the office is processing of commercial air service license requests from the operators. We also do lease approval. That is the lease agreements between airlines are brought to our office for approval. We issue authorization, which is short term, normally fondly known as ad hoc permits, which are issued to foreign registered aircraft that intend to either overfly or land in Kenya for commercial purposes or for technical purposes. We issue them with special authorization because they are not licensed by the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. The other key function in air transport is inspections at the airport. This is to ensure that there is smooth facilitation of passengers, cargo, and mail through our airport.
Thank you. Mary, now, how did you find yourself in aviation?
It's quite interesting, actually. Incidentally, I actually never set out to work in aviation. I worked in public universities for several years, and I thought I was comfortable. Then, due to some personal incident, I actually made up my mind to shift or to change my career. But I didn't even choose aviation. You would be surprised. But in that period of time when I was actually contemplating what to do, KCA advertised a position at the East African School of Aviation. And surprisingly, I felt like it was meant for me. The advert was for me. I was so convinced that I made the requirements that although I had no clue where KCA was, I didn't know, I didn't have a clue. But I was so convinced that I actually meet the requirements and I would be the right candidate for the job that I called them up. When I saw the advert, I looked for the contact address, I called the HR. And they asked, what do you want? I said, I want that job, but I need to know what you're looking for and who you are before I can apply. They were actually surprised. They laughed at me. I won't name the names, but some of them are still here. And they said, oh, we've never had somebody calling us to ask us about information on a position that they want to apply for. I said, well, I'm calling. But they were good enough, they gave me the information, and it only served to convince me more that I actually am the right candidate, or I was the right candidate for that position. I applied, did interviews, and forgot about it. Then 1 month after my interview, I got a call from KCA, and I had been given the job. So as I say, I joined the East African School of Aviation as a senior examinations officer. I was already working as an assistant registrar examinations at one of the public universities. So for me, it was like, just fitting in. But I was wrong. I found it a totally different environment. But I came in anyhow, and I got interested. And over the years, I have shifted and become something else, other things. I play other roles, not the exams role that I came to play initially. And I'm still here, and expect to still be here. Thank you.
That's wonderful. That's a girl child. Huh? And Beth, as a little girl, did you ever see yourself in this profession, that is Aeronautical Information Services? And what drew you to the profession?
Well, actually, no, I didn't even know there was something like that which existed. So what happened, after I had graduated from the university, I was looking for a job. So one day, as I was going through the newspaper, I saw the advert, Aeronautical Information Services. So what was interesting about it was that I actually met the requirements for this job, but I had no idea what it was. So I started researching about it. The more I researched, the more interested I became. So I decided to apply, brought in my application, and I was shortlisted. I came for the aptitude test, and some few months later, I believe a year later, I received a call and I was told I had been successful. I should report at the East African School of Aviation as an AIS trainee to be trained to become an AIS officer. I stayed at the East African School of Aviation for 1 year, and then I was deployed to Jkia as an AIS officer.
Wow. Yeah, most people just stumble into aviation. How about Makio? Why did you join aviation?
Thank you very much. Having grown up in the village, I knew very little, or almost nothing, about aviation. The only thing I can relate with then is an aircraft just passing by. And we would sing as village girls or boys to send greetings. In our minds, we knew that aircraft will somehow get our greetings to whoever we were sending the greetings to. But after Form 4, there were adverts by the Public Service Commission for interviews. And there was the stereotype that unless you have a godfather or someone somewhere, you cannot get through. However, my mother motivated me to go for the interviews. So I did photocopies of my certificates and everything else that was required. And surprisingly, the last interview I took was from the Ministry of Transport, then the Ministry of Transport and Communications. I had done all the rest that I was interested in. And on my way home, I saw a post on the electricity post, an advert by the Ministry of Transport and Communication. And when I read the post, I could not understand what they were advertising. Because Ministry of Transport and Communication, and then below there was Aeronautical Communications Officer, there was Aeronautical Information Officers, then there was Air Traffic Controllers. I could not connect Ministry of Transport and Communication with Aeronautical Air Traffic Controllers or Aeronautical Communications Officers. Therefore, I decided to go in and make an inquiry. When I went in, they told me they had only interviewed 2 people, and they were all men, and they were looking for a lady. And I said, here I am. I sat for the interview. Interestingly, I did not answer any question related to aviation. They ended up asking me where I went to school, and if they were to give me the opportunity, I would join, because I had already qualified for university. And I made a commitment that if they take me in, I will be able to join the Ministry of Transport and Communication. I had no idea that it was an aviation-related job, because I was seeing Ministry of Transport and Communication was all about roads, according to me. So after I did the interview, 2 weeks later, I received a letter telling me to report at the East African School of Aviation. Again, the name East African really drifted my mind. I could not connect East African School of Aviation with Kenya and the Ministry of Transport and Communication. However, we decided to come a week earlier to find out what it was all about. And we met with the chief instructor. Then he took us through the journey of how you go through the training to become an aeronautical communications officer and what happens after you have finished your training. The fact that we were to be absorbed by the defunct Directorate of Civil Aviation really motivated me, and that is how I decided to join aviation. Thank you.
Wow. So parents out there, let us encourage our daughters to take up whatever opportunities that come their way. Now, Mary, what are some of the courses would you recommend to young women to take up in aviation?
Thank you, Flora. Actually, it's good we have this forum to talk about the courses that one can take if the aspire would like to have a career in aviation. Don't wait like me until you are midway through your career to become an aviator. The time is now. But aviation is very dynamic. And really, Flora, what I would say is this. It's not so much about the courses that one should take. I would advise that one selects a career path. You choose a path that you want to follow in aviation. But that may not also be possible because sometimes when we are out there, we don't even know which careers exist. Fortunately, ICAO has done a lot of work towards solving that problem. There are courses that actually guide you in terms of what aviation is all about and what the jobs are like, what options you have, and that to me would be a very good starting point. So you choose a career path after probably doing a bit of research because aviation, as I said, is a club. It's like when you're an outsider, you really don't know what goes on in there. But even if you don't get the full information, a career path is important because it will actually guide you in terms of what courses you can take. But then, as I said, since ICAO has come up with a solution, and the solution is actually a very nice course which is available online called the Aviation Fundamentals, Fundamentals of Aviation. Fundamentals of Aviation is actually a course for anyone, everyone, who would like to know what aviation is all about, what opportunities are there, what activities are carried out, and everything, anything you'd need to know from a layman's perspective. Their whole air transport and air navigation is covered from the perspectives of an outsider, somebody who is looking for information. And since there are no prerequisites really for this course, so long as you can read and write English, our girls, young girls completing Form 4, should actually start by taking this course, whether you want to join aviation or not, because it's an eye-opener. It kind of gives you the whole world of aviation, and you can choose what you want. But other than that, as I said, a career path is important because there are courses that are in synergy, give you the trajectory that you need to get to the next level and even the highest level. So I would say you choose a career path and then pick a combination of courses that add value to your chosen career path. For instance, if you leave the aviation fundamentals alone, for example, if you decide to be a flight dispatcher, like what we teach at the East African School of Aviation, don't just take the flight dispatch course. Diversify, ground yourself in all aspects that are related to a flight dispatcher's job. For instance, don't just do the diploma in flight operations officer. Add cargo, add security, add safety, because it's not going to be possible for you to just work as an island within a certain small area. But then be ready also to keep learning. Aviation is very dynamic. You be a full-time student because changes will come and you need to keep up with the changes. So I would say, to answer your question directly, choose a career path, go for the core courses that are related to that career path, but also pick the main aviation, mainstream aviation aspects like security, cross-cutting, like safety, cross-cutting, and don't forget to add some management training, because should you become a supervisor, for instance, you need to know how to say sorry and thank you to the people you are supervising as you motivate them. Thank you very much.
Wow. So viewers, you can see aviation is actually quite wide. Unlike the myth we had before, when you talk of aviation, one would only think about the pilot and the air traffic controller. So you can see aviation is wide and therefore is quite accommodating to any girl, depending on what they like, on what they are passionate about. Now, Beth, what was your education journey like?
I believe my education journey was the typical 844. I started my primary school in a school in Umoja. I can't say it was eventful since I went to school with the same kids I grew up with in the estate. But I remember in primary school I was good in math and actually wanted to become a pilot. Then I went to high school. Now in high school, this is where dreams change. So in high school, I realized I loved computers, and also I was still good at math. So I decided when I go to university, I'll actually pursue a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. So I finished high school, went to the university, I did my computer science, I finished. After that, I applied now to join KCA, and I had to report at the East African School of Aviation. EASA is quite different from what you're used to in the normal 844 system, from the method of teaching, from the people you interact with. It was a totally different experience, but it was an interesting journey. From there, I started working, and then, as Mary says, in aviation, you also need a management course. So when I started working, after I gained some experience, I decided to join the University of Nairobi to pursue an MBA in strategic management. So that's where I am right now.
Great. Mwakio, how about you? How was your journey like, your education journey like?
Thank you, Flora. My education journey was just like any other normal girl child in Kenya. Both my primary school and secondary school were back in the village. I came to Nairobi when I was admitted to the East African School of Aviation to do the Aeronautical Communications Operations course, which took around 3 years. Immediately after we finished our college life, we were taken in by the defunct Directorate of Civil Aviation Authority at the entry level. After having worked for some years, I got settled in marriage, and then I decided to go back to education. I did undergraduate course at the Kenya Methodist University. I did my master's in business administration at Kenya Methodist University. I took a break. Then after some time, way back in 2014, I decided to come back and do master's in business administration, but this time I was focused in aviation management, which was being offered by Moi University. Then from there, I'm still in the journey of learning. Like Mary has said, you have to keep on learning. I am currently pursuing my PhD in strategic management, and save for Corona, I would be finishing my thesis. Thank you.
Oh, it will come to pass. And parents, like you've seen, education is key and it has no end. Mary, maybe you can guide us on how one needs to do to position themselves for a career within the aviation. What advice would you give some of the young graduates when they are joining aviation, how they will be able to position themselves in a career in aviation?
Thank you, Flora. Now, just like I mentioned in my earlier comments, aviation is quite dynamic. However, that doesn't mean one cannot actually pick a few things that they want to concentrate on. And like I said earlier, one needs to select, determine what direction they want to go, because you can't be everything. But that said, the actually key for me is be the best in that which you choose to become. And being the best doesn't mean that you get to actually work so hard. You work smart. Find out the latest in that field. Find out the players, the main players, in terms of what are they doing, how do they do it. And also research and find out the networks that exist, professional networks that have to do with the line you have chosen. That way, you get to know when opportunities occur, you get to know what other people are doing, and you get to know also how the best do what they do. So for me, it's grounding yourself properly in terms of your training, in terms of your skills and abilities, and also keeping tabs on what is happening in that chosen line. You can imagine qualifying probably is probably a safety management practitioner, and then you find that by the time you want to move ahead, there is a certain core training that has been introduced, but you haven't taken it, so you'll miss out. So positioning means getting to the bottom of your chosen line in aviation. What is happening? Who are doing it? Where are they doing it? And what do I need to be like them, for instance? What training do I need? And more importantly also, what networks do I need? And by networks, I mean the forums where these issues are discussed, like seminars, like workshops, and now we do not have an excuse with the digital technology. You have everything at your fingertips. So make sure you are at the forefront and don't shy away from actually contributing in forums where those items and issues are discussed, so that you put yourself out there. Don't sit back. No one will know what you know, what you can do, who you are, if you don't get out there. So participate as much as possible in webinars, participate in professional discussions, and then follow through. Now, most of the times what I find is that ladies, we get lost somewhere along the way. We are wives, we are mothers, we are career women. And sometimes we are not able to balance between all those conflicting roles, if I may call them that. But even as you mother, even as you wife, even as you're a career woman, you have the you. Take that which you're passionate about, because when the going gets really tough, it's your passion that will keep you going in your chosen path. So that's what I would say for now, Flora.
Oh, thank you. So, ladies, you've had it. Mothers, let us encourage our girls. So, and particularly take advantage of the fact that God has wired the woman in such a way that they can multitask. And we should really utilize that gift from God. And I think Mary has alluded to that. Okay, Beth, what does the theme, My Voice, Our Equal Future, mean to you?
What the theme means to me is that we should all use our voice to create awareness. We have girls, young girls out there in different parts of the country who don't have access to information. So I believe all of us who are able to should be able to create awareness, try to talk to people, and try and inform them of the opportunities that exist for them. Yeah.
Thank you. And Mwakio, you just heard what Mary told us about, balancing work and, motherhood. How many years have you been in this profession, and how do you balance between work and family?
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, I'm a mother of two beautiful girls. And my years of experience in Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, I would quantify them together as 25 years. I had 12 years in the Air Navigation Services Directorate as an Aeronautical Communications Officer. Then in 2007, when opportunities in the Aviation Safety and Security Regulations Directorate opened up, I jumped ship and I joined the regulatory wing of the authority. So for the last 13 years, I've been working in their transport department. In this department, there is a lot of traveling, which I very much enjoy, internationally, regionally, and locally. However, as a mother, when I'm flying out there, I carry my babies with me. And I keep talking to them because I do not want to be away there making a name while way back at home, the same name is getting spoiled. So I try to balance. I keep in touch with them wherever I go. I do homework checkups wherever I am. We were once told that we are telephone mothers, which I accept. But at some point, you just have to be. You have to make a call and know, did you do your homework? Did you pass your tests? Because I need the job and I need the family. In spite of the challenges we face as ladies, I would very much want to say I enjoy the support from my family. They understand what I do, and when I get home, we spend quality time with each other. So I make sure even my friends get the attention they deserve, despite the fact that I have a tight schedule and sometimes I'm away from home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So viewers, like you've heard Beth Mwakio narrate to us, as women and girls, we are not out to outdo each other. We are there to collaborate with one another so that we can make this world a better place. As a young person, Mary, if you can just tell us the challenges you have navigated in the course of your career.
Thank you, Flora. Now, aviation is really no different from several other careers because as women, we actually probably face more challenges than men, I would say. However, in aviation, there are some kind of special challenges that one gets. Now, for me personally, coming from outside aviation and joining aviation in a technical line, getting acceptance was a big, big, big challenge. And actually what saved the day is that I kept insisting. I knew what I wanted, and I said I want to do this. At some point, actually to be exact, when I wanted to change from examinations management to curriculum development in aviation, I happened to be the only officer who was nominated for not nominated for the official training. Fortunately for me, some nominees turned down the offer. So I actually wrote a 5-page memo to my then supervisor explaining why and how I meet requirements to be in that group. And sure enough, she told me then, we'll communicate with ICAO and see whether they can allow you. So she told me draft the write-up that we sent to ICAO. I did. And here I am today as a senior course developer in aviation. So what am I saying? I'm saying that the challenges will be there. And the most critical one is gaining access, initial entry. That is something that every one of us has to work on. But work on it from the perspective of being knowledgeable, being skilled, and doing what is required. So the challenge would be like what people think about you. So don't let anyone define you. Go for your goals. You know what you want. Make sure you put yourself in order and do what you need to do properly so that at the end of the day, it's a question of the technically competent aviator, the incoming aviator are at par. That is what will carry you forward. The other challenge I have had to navigate is that aviation is still a male-dominated industry, very male-dominated industry. Most of the times you'll find yourself in forums, in working groups, where you are the only lady. There is temptation to feel intimidated. There is temptation to feel like, I can't do this. But with adequate preparation on your part, make sure you bring to the table something equitable, if not better, to what the male counterparts bring on the table. And I can assure you, eventually, you gain not only their respect, but the acceptance and respect of the industry at large. That is something we have to do as ladies. Men may get it a little easier, but probably when you're a lady and also coming from outside, you should actually be clear what you want to do, how you want to do it, and make sure you actually do it. To become competent and qualified in your chosen line, you require multiple trainings. And incidentally, training in aviation tends to be competency-based, therefore, it will be in small bits and pieces. So you will need to do several multiple trainings, and it doesn't come easy. So costs. Fortunately for me, working for the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority at the East African School of Aviation, the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority has supported us in terms of training. I can't complain. But then also access to training has also been a challenge because aviation is global. So you will need to be trained equally, as equal as any other player in any other part of the world. And also the requirement for currency. I happen to be in an area called instructing, for example, in aviation. My qualification as an instructor in certain courses is not for life. I'm not a teacher, I'm an instructor. So every now and then you have to renew your currency. And what it means is that you either have to conduct the training under supervision externally. Somebody needs to pay for that. And that becomes a challenge because it keeps costing either you or your employer. But all in all, I wouldn't change my career now that I'm in aviation. Thank you.
Oh, great. Now, Beth, what are some of the key highs in your career?
There's one particular high that I can think of. There's this course that was being introduced at the East African School of Aviation that is called Aeronautical Information Exchange Model. So to do this course, they required people who had an IT background. So I was fortunate enough to be nominated to be in the first class. So on completion of this class, I was chosen to be an instructor for the same course. So this was a high because I only had 3 years experience. And the people I was required to teach had more than 10 years experience. So that was a high. The fact that I was considered to be an instructor and they felt that I was competent enough. So that was a high.
That's great. Okay, Mwakio, what is important for you to be current and always alert in your profession?
Thank you. Aviation is very dynamic, Flora, you know that. And in every new day, there are challenges, there are emerging trends in aviation. The department in which I sit is one department that receives it all. Before you join aviation as a commercial operator, you must come through our department to get your air service license. Therefore, we receive all sorts of challenges, ideas, questions, because the business person out there has an idea that the authority does not have. And they come to ask, can we have this, can we get this? Therefore, you just have to keep current with the emerging trends for you to be able to be at pace with the industry changes. I will say that COVID-19 brought in the concept of working at home. And to many people, it sounded out of place. But in our department, we were celebrating. Reason being, we had introduced the Advanced Air Transport Information System. And therefore, that system enables me to work from wherever I am. When we were told you can work at home, it was easy for me to sit there, process all the ad hoc permits, allow the aviators to fly from one point to the other. When the airspace was closed, it was not closed to everybody. Cargo flights were taking off and landing. Expatriation flights were going on every now and then. Medical evacuations requests were coming in every now and then. And therefore, the system helped us. And I was looking at it and saying, if that technology was cutting across in the entire authority, then so much would have been going on as much as we had closed the airspace. So keeping current has really seen air transport placed at a different level.
Wow. Thank you. And Mary, what are some of your career milestones?
Now, much as I started as an underdog in aviation, I would say I've done quite well, with due respect to everybody. Now, from 2012 to date, I am an ICAO qualified curriculum designer in aviation. And then, apart from that, remember, I came in as an examinations officer, senior examinations officer. Currently, since 2015, I'm Chief Curriculum Development and Research at the East African School of Aviation. And then working closely with ICAO on several of the projects and programs that are implemented by IASA, I was able to be in the team that got IASA approved as or designated first as a Train Air Plus full member. Train Air Plus program is a global network of training organizations in aviation that actually offer competency-based training. So there's an assessment process by ICAO, and if all the parameters are in order, they are met, then the organization gets certified. So I was in the group, the team lead actually, of the group that got IASA to full membership of that program. And then 3 years ago, we were able to upscale that. We upgraded IASA into a regional training center of excellence. And that is because the course development unit, which I had, with the course development team, was able to do what ICAO requires, design globally acceptable courses to ICAO standards. Currently, we have 5 of those courses in the ICAO library and they are used for global training. We have also had them bought by different CAAs, including Thailand Civil Aviation Authority, to close some significant findings that they had. Now, for me, that is quite an achievement because it's very few training organizations in the world that are able to produce those standardized training packages to ICAO specifications and standard and acceptance, multiples like we have. We have 5 of them, and we are completing the 6th one this month, as it were. Now, apart from that, in 2014, I qualified to become an ICAO expert standardized training package validator. So what that means is that when civil aviation training organizations design training programs, then I'm contracted by ICAO to assist them to package their trainings to the required standards and specifications by ICAO. So far, apart from working with my organization, KCA and EASA on the same, I've also worked with Morocco, I've worked with Mauritius, I've worked with Incheon Airport Aviation Academy and Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority Training School, to name just a few, as an expert standardized training package validator. Then, other than that, I'm also an ICAO qualified instructor for 3 ICAO courses, which I actually conduct annually at EASA once, and then globally for different states on a need basis. The last one I conducted was in August this year, online. We have transitioned to online now with the COVID-19 situation for Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, but with participation globally from the UAE, from Fiji, from Thailand, and also from Ghana itself. Now, I'm also the ICAO focal point for the East African School of Aviation, and this is something that has come about because of the work we do in terms of coordinating, collaborating, and ensuring that all the trainings that are required from ICAO by different players within Kenya and beyond are not only scheduled, programmed accordingly, but also we are able to link up with the qualified instructors for that process. And then the last year, I have been presenting papers for ICAO in different forums as a presenter, but I found a different milestone last year coming my way because last year I did not present a paper. I was a moderator at the Global Aviation Trainer Plus and Symposium in New Delhi. I moderated a panel, which was another milestone because I've been a presenter most of the time, but this time round I managed a panel. I moderated a panel. So I would say aviation has been good. I would say that any of us ladies can actually start from anywhere. I joined aviation as an adult. I had already put in some 30 years work at the university by the time I joined aviation. But it's a new field. It called for retooling, retraining, but you can still move. There's still space for you to move in any direction you want. You can move. So any of us can do it, regardless of when and where you start. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth, you've just had Mary's journey. Now, maybe you can tell the viewers if you have been mentored in your career.
Yes, I have been mentored. In my department, Aeronautical Information Services, the ladies, we are lucky because the top management in the department is made up of women, and they encourage an open door policy. So in case you have any questions, you need any advice, you can just walk in and you'll be guided. So I can say, yes, I've been mentored.
That's good. Now, Mary, what is the percentage of women taking up aviation courses, if you can tell the viewers? And maybe to add on that, what do you do to attribute to this?
Thank you, Flora. The East African School of Aviation is the training directorate of Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. And at this school, we handle both the ab initio training for those who have just completed O-levels and in-service training for professionals like Beth and Beth who are in aviation already. So the proportion of women, or girls for that matter, in training is a reflection of what is in the industry really. However, what we have at the school is that some of the courses which appear to be more attractive maybe, or they seem to be women-oriented, like cabin crew training, attract a higher number of girls or ladies for trainees than any other. But when you go to the technical courses like aeronautical engineering or even safety, the number dwindles. I do not have the current numbers right now because, but for the last few years, the girls in any of the courses, apart from cabin crew, travel and tourism, the other courses for travel and tourism, and air cargo and dangerous goods, the number of ladies tends to be below 20%. If you go to aeronautical engineering, it's not uncommon or unusual to find, like in telecommunication engineering, you have one lady or none. It's not unusual. But the numbers are always, they've never hit 50-50, except, as I said, for cabin crew and maybe travel and tourism, the IATA courses. The rest never go beyond 20, would be once in a while. Now, what I think is that we do not have a clear-cut policy in terms of allocating slots to girls in these courses. And now that we are getting participants or trainees for ab initio, the Form 4 leavers are coming through the COOPs. The placement authority probably will need to put our voice out there for aviation specifically, because girls and women seem to be endangered, according to me. So we probably need to go the affirmative way, officially and systematically, such that when we have an intake, even if it's going to be done through COOPs, can we lobby to have a situation where the girls are given slots or chances deliberately? And I say so because when the results come out from KCSE, the girls seem to do quite well, reasonably. Over the years, the performance has been improving. But this performance is not translating into numbers in our trainings. In my view, the problem is a little way far from the intake. It goes further. Right at the school level, when they're doing their training or their classes at Form 4, the science, technology, engineering, mathematics, STEM, they probably give up too early before they even find out what is in store for them going forward. Such that now when you talk of engineering, they shy away from it, because they shied away from the technical subjects in school, the science subjects in school that would have given them confidence to actually join this kind of level. So I think we need to come up with a lobby group. Frola, it's a high time that in aviation we start talking about women, about girls, about ourselves, and probably picking on what exactly the gaps are. Where did it start raining on us? What is not right? Or maybe everything is right, but what are we not doing? And then so that we can have more of us joining aviation. And I said, as I said, not as Mary in mid-age, from the beginning, so that they have better prospects of going to the highest level possible. That's what I would say for now, Laura.
Thank you, Mary. And this forum is a beginning of creating awareness, not just in Kenya, I believe East Africa, Africa, and even globally. And for parents, please, I urge you, let us encourage our girls to join their dear brothers in doing the science subjects. They are not as hard as they think they are. In fact, they could end up being easier. Beth, you're a young girl. Allow me to call you a young girl. Yeah? Who do you look up to as a woman in aviation, globally and locally?
Well, globally, it has to be Dr. Fang Liu. She's the Secretary General for the International Civil Aviation Organization, and she's actually the first woman to hold that position. And locally, it's our Director for Air Navigation Services, Madam Charity Musila. She was actually an AIS officer, and she began her career where I began mine.
Yeah.
So I'd actually like to go through the path she's gone through.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. And Makio, what does the theme, My Voice, Our Equal Future, mean to you?
My voice, our equal future, means quite a lot to me. I keep on repeating that I grew up in the village where very little concern is given to girls because your place is in the kitchen. Education comes after. And even if you don't take education seriously, nobody is going to force you or to encourage you to. And therefore, I feel if girls are given voice through education and the independence of mind to make a decision on their lives, that would make them equal to everyone else. I am what I am today because a voice in the form of a girl who happened to be my own mother propelled me. She kept encouraging me. She told me that you're equal to another person. You have the capability to do what other people are doing. Do not compare yourself with the lesser. Try to look up and emulate those who are up there because you're able. And that voice keeps talking to me up to today. With that, I look at the girls in other setups that at the age of 15, now that I'm married in the coast, you find girls by the age of 9 to 15, they already know who should marry them. That voice comes from someone. That someone is a mother. It's a grandmother somewhere. It's a father. It's a grandfather somewhere. So we need a voice that is going to encourage girls to look at themselves differently, to make their future equal to another person. Because the moment you're told you're a girl and you're placed in the kitchen, that voice alone demotivates you. But if someone tells you you're a girl, yes, but equal to a boy and able like a boy, you will definitely have an equal future with a boy. There will be no fighting. You will never see a man as a better person than you. You will see a man as a complementary person who encourages you and who supports you. Therefore, the voice, the word, my voice, my equal future means quite a lot to me.
Thank you. So girls, the challenge is to you. You actually can have a very great future, both as a woman, a mother, and a career lady, just like Beth has told us. And what about you, Mary? What does that theme, my voice, our equal future, mean to you?
Thank you, Flora. Now, my voice, our equal future is actually timely. To me, it means that I have a role to play. We all have a role to play. We all need to raise our voices to supplement the young girls' voices. Otherwise, we are not going to go very far. What it means to me is that we all need to link up, join together, and actually take up the cause for young girls, as it were. Raise our voices together with them, support them, mentor them, show them the way, direction, give advice as much as possible, encourage them. As Beth has said, some of us or some of the girls do not have a mentor by default. And by default, I mean somebody within your family, like your mother, like your auntie, like your grandmother. Not everybody has that kind of situation. And therefore, it's upon the rest of us to join hands with them, take up their cause on their behalf, and take it to the highest level possible. That we collectively, together, will have a louder voice, will have a better impact, and we will also encourage them such that they are not alone. They don't feel alone. They are not fighting alone. They are not struggling alone. So my voice, our future, is a call to all of us to join hands and support the girl child in terms of advancement, whatever their circumstances, whomever they are, wherever they are.
Thank you. Beth,
Yes.
you're the future. Now, where do you see your career in a few years' time?
In a few years' time, I envision myself as an aviation expert, in particular, an expert in aeronautical information management.
That's nice, and we wish you all the best of luck. And Makio, whom do you look up to as a woman in aviation globally and locally, now that you have quite some experience in the field?
Charity begins at home. Allow me to start with the local. Interestingly, you are my role model, Flora Wakolo. We have a history with Flora. We have worked together for quite some time. And every time I have sat with Flora, whether in a meeting or we're just walking, she has always said a word that when I go home, I remember that word. Either it builds me as a person, as a family person, or even in my career. The other person is Madam Chocho, though retired. I loved her wits. I admired her way of doing things. In every station, Madam Chocho sat as the leader of that station. Today you walk in and you can connect with something that Madam Chocho did, and you can see or you can feel. And therefore she encouraged me by the words of, you in the group, stand out and be different. She took challenges with a lot of positivity, despite the difficulty in it, and that really built my confidence in my daily work. Now, globally or internationally, Beth has already mentioned Dr. Liu, and she encourages me with her passion. She's the Secretary General of ICAO Council, yes, but when you listen to her when she talks, she's very passionate about girls. She's very passionate about the opportunities ladies have in aviation, and she keeps encouraging people to take up the opportunities. She keeps on saying, I'm here to remove barriers so that women can have an opportunity to showcase what they are and what they have. And therefore, she really builds my morale. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I'm truly humbled to hear that I've left some marks in a life within the aviation industry. And I encourage all of us here to also leave marks behind as we go, as we exit the scene. Now, what about you, Mary? Globally and locally, which women do you look up to?
Thank you, Flora. Let me start here at home. When I joined aviation from nowhere, my first contact was Justina Nyaga. And I admire her because she kept an open mind. She let me in. Said, get in, prove yourself, or be weeded out by the process.
Yes.
Which was quite commendable because it had been a challenge. I had had experience which was not very good after joining the CA because of those barriers. We talked about the challenges and the perception that people have in terms of what background, where to start, where one should start. And I'm saying to girls, you can start anywhere. It's up to you. So Justina Nyaga was a tough lady and was not afraid to call us non-starters. He called us non-starters several times, directly. A non-starters means you did not meet high expectations or you did not meet requirements. So she'll tell you, you're a non-starter, this is not done this way. So she was focused, she knew what she wanted. She actually made YASA into an ICAO Trainer Plus member. She was in charge of that process, which is what we are seeing now as a spill over to the greater things we have, like the Regional Training Center of Excellence, for example. And she worked, really worked. Justina would come from meetings and make sure that any files that are on her desk, it doesn't matter whether it's 9 p.m., she'll get them going, because her idea was that if she holds anything at her desk, she holds all the other processes within the training organization. So she would actually sacrifice, and she was committed. And I realized if you're focused and committed, you can actually get to where you want to get locally. Now, that said, internationally or globally, there are two women who really inspire me. One of them is called Paula Almeida. She's the current director of Jkia, Joint Aviation Authorities Training Organizations, based in the Netherlands, but is basically the training wing of EASA Europe. Now, Paula is originally from Brazil. She relocated to the Netherlands, settled there. She worked in Jkia as a training manager, as a business development manager, eventually to deputy director, and from 2016, full director of Jkia. I admire her because it has taken quite a bit of work. She never gave up. Although there were males and other people around her during the time of progressing until she became the director, she focused, she kept the focus and kept the determination, and she's currently the director. Now, the second lady who inspires me is called Dr. Suzanne Keynes. She is a professor at the University of Waterloo in Canada. Suzanne is a pilot. She has an MSc, and she is also an aircraft pilot, current, but she's also a professor with a PhD in education. So being technical and then contributing to humanity by qualifying to train others so that they can get to where she has got. And she's part of the team that has come up with the solution I talked about earlier, the fundamentals of aviation, the book, the course. There's a book and there's a course. She's actually the team leader of that process. And she still works as actually the chair of the next generation of aviation professionals in ICAO. She's a university professor, but chairing a process or a program that is trying to ensure that we build capacity in aviation by encouraging young people to join the industry. So those two ladies are mothers, they are wives, but they are also professionals, and they've been able to scale the heights. So any girl, any lady who aspires to do the same does not have to compromise. Beth is a mother too. Any of the roles, you can combine them and still excel.
Thank you. Awesome, awesome. Now, Beth,
Yes.
you've just heard what the other two ladies have said. And, you know, navigating around aviation is not easy. It's quite stressful. How do you manage stress, or how do you handle stress at the workplace?
Well, I avoid taking in more than I can handle. So teamwork is key. And I always ask for help when I need help. Also, I take every mistake I make or any challenge in the workplace as a learning experience. So that has really, really helped me. I also only do what I can do, and the situations in which I don't have any control over, I avoid. I don't obsess over it. Yeah.
Talk of managing risk. Yeah. And Makio, what would you tell young girls hoping for a future in this aviation industry?
I'll tell them that first, it has to start with yourself. Don't give up. You're capable, you're able, and you're equal to another person. Aviation is wide and very dynamic. It is full of opportunities. Therefore, nobody should feel limited that there are few choices to make in aviation. We have airworthiness inspectors. We have flight operations inspectors. We have personnel licensing officers. We have pilots. We have engineers. We have aeronautical information officers. There is a wide range of professions that people can join into. And these professions are not for men only. They are for all of us. So girls should feel encouraged to present themselves and take up the opportunities. We shouldn't encourage the mentality of being given on a silver platter.
Wow. And Beth, what about you? Because you relate with the young girls here. What would you be, what would you tell them?
I concur with what my colleagues have said.
Yeah.
Aviation has so many careers within the aviation in general. As an aeronautical information officer, very few information is available in the public domain about my career. I would like to urge the young girl to consider it as a preferable career choice or one of the possibilities. The current trends in aviation are geared towards the provision of accurate and real-time data or information, and that's what basically we do in AIS.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And maybe as we wind up, Mary Sindiga, is there a mentorship program at the East African School of Aviation for young aviation enthusiasts?
Thank you, Flora. I'll start by saying yes and no. Yes, because in the way we handle the newly recruited or registered trainees, incorporate aspects of mentorship, although the no is that there is no formal program of mentorship as we know it. So what we do at the East African School of Aviation is actually to incorporate in the orientation program directions, advice, and guidance in terms of you have come here and you've been enrolled for this and this particular course, especially for the young ones who come from Form 4, they are initial trainees. So what is in it for you? Where is it taking you? Where are you going? We actually spend a lot of time and effort guiding them in terms of what is required of them to actually achieve the required outcome in their chosen path or in the course they have registered for. And then secondly, what are the requirements in the industry? What will you do? Where will you go? And what does it take? So it's only natural that you now, after giving them the whole picture at the beginning, you let them have access, and then the officers know they can call on any one of us to link up to the trainee who requires guidance in a certain area. I get a lot of questions, for example, about ICAO and how it operates, and how does one become an instructor, how does one, and so on and so forth. So those will be looked to me through the Office of the Liaisons Officer and the Dean of Students as my role, because of my role as an ICAO focal point. Now also, a few years ago, the East African School of Aviation started the Stakeholders Forum. Now we've made it an East African or a global stakeholders forum where we have participants and presentations for 2 days now, where various topics in aviation are discussed, various issues are elaborated, and the consultations go on the sidelines. And we have given the trainees, our students, participation. They make presentations as well. They come forward with the issues, how they see the aviation in their own eyes. What do they see? But that said, also, I would like to emphasize that there's the ICAO program called the Next Generation of Aviation Professionals, in which EASA is a key participant. And what is happening is that we're looking or reaching out to the young people. We have partnered with other organizations like Jkia, so that we can reach out to younger people in secondary schools and even primary school, because mentoring should start from that level, such that we do not have people completing university like Beth here and not knowing their careers in aviation. Because people tend to see pilots, they know flying and flying and flying, and maybe air traffic controllers, those who are familiar with the CAA, the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. But the world of aviation is so wide in terms of opportunities, but we need to start them from very early, such that we get people lined up, aligned their orientation, their ambitions, their interests, and also the academics, what they are doing at school. Because sometimes, unfortunately, by the time the girls we are talking about realize that there's a good career in aviation, they dropped maths in quotes in Form 2. So it will be on that result slip is a grade that I don't want to mention. Therefore, much as now they are interested, they missed the flight long time ago in Form 2. So that is why the necessity to link up with other players that will start mentoring from an early age is very, very important. And that's what EASA is doing. Thank you.
Thank you. So viewers, parents, the ball is in your court. Let us identify what our children want, and if they're passionate about aviation, whether it's flying, whether it's air traffic control, whether it's instruction at the training organization, whether it's air transport. And by the way, an air transport officer is also an ambassador of this country, because they go into negotiation mode when they are issuing those licenses to negotiate some of the routes that you see our airlines enjoying. What can we say? The world is open for ladies, for girls. If you say that there are no jobs out there, we have jobs in aviation. It's quite open. Thank you, viewers, for joining us in the Ask Your Aviator. Continue engaging us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you.
I, Mary.
I, Beth Mwakio.
I, Immaculate. I, Beth.
I, Flora.
I, Mercy. Believe our voice.
Our eco future.